my name is Veronica, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. How did that one do?
That was very good. Do just maybe one or two more, okay?
You are now the mandatory challenger for Vasily Lomachenko's 135-pound title. Do you believe at 20 years old you're ready for that type of challenge?
I think you said his name wrong. It's Lomachenko, because he doesn't want to fight me. But it's I feel like I'm ready for the fight. This is the WBC mandatory. So Lomachenko, come on, man, let's get this fight going.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So Vasily Lomachenko, he returns this weekend fighting against undefeated Jermaine Ortiz, his former sparring partner. Clearly Lomachenko, he feels he knows Jermaine Ortiz very well for him to choose him as an opponent, especially as his return opponent. But with that being said, what makes this fight so significant is what happens assuming Lomachenko beats Ortiz, which obviously is not a guarantee. But if he does beat Ortiz this weekend, everyone is obviously talking about him fighting for undisputed, fighting for all the belts against the undisputed champion, Devin Haney. We know that Devin Haney wants it. I even believe that Bob Arum personally wants it. He's been talking about making this fight for quite some time. But according to Bob Arum, there's one person that might not want it because he just might not be ready for a fight against the undisputed champion, Devin Haney, and that is Vasily Lomachenko.
In his last fight with Joshua, so you can be optimistic.
Right. Now there's heavy talks of him facing Devin Haney next for that shot at the undisputed title. You know, what are your thoughts and how is that fight coming along?
Well, I think that would be a great fight, but you know, it takes two to tango. We have to see where Loma is after his fight Saturday. Is he ready for Devin Haney? We'll have to see. And then I think Bill, Devin's father will be here. I think maybe Devin also, but Bill definitely. And we have a very good relationship with Bill, and we'll talk to him after the fight.
So Bob Arum is saying that Vasily Lomachenko may not be ready to fight against Devin Haney, assuming he gets past Ortiz this past weekend. The fact that it's even in Bob Arum's mind that Lomachenko may not be ready, but he knows that Devin Haney is ready, is a bad sign. Now, there's still a good chance it can happen, but that's still a bad sign that Bob Arum is worried about Loma not being ready. Let's just really think about this. So 3 years ago, when Devin Haney was 20 years old and he was Lomachenko's mandatory, clearly Lomachenko wasn't ready to fight Devin Haney then because Lomachenko vacated his belt, and that's how Devin Haney became the WBC lightweight champion. Just like that's the way Lennox Lewis became the heavyweight champion when Riddick Bowe refused to fight his mandatory Lennox Lewis. See, this is what old media has to understand. You can't be calling a man pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world over Devin Haney if his promoter is questioning if he's even ready to fight against Devin Haney. Because the fact that he's saying he may not be ready, that is high praise to Devin Haney. Bob is not saying that, you know what, Devin Haney might not be ready. He's saying that Loma might not be ready. But Loma is ready for Jermaine Ortiz. And what makes this situation even more ironic is I just did a video on it the other day. Lomachenko was asked the question, who's the better fighter out of the three? It was Gervonta Tank Davis, Devin Haney, or Shakur Stevenson. And Lomachenko, he said Shakur Stevenson, which that part alone is not that much of a surprise, but it was why he chose Shakur over Gervonta and Devin Haney. Lomachenko said it was because Devin Haney, he got hurt in the Linares fight, basically saying that Devin is a very flawed fighter because he got hurt in that fight, which coincidentally, that fighter is the same guy that knocked down Lomachenko and actually was up on the scorecards, at least one of the scorecards, going into the 10th or the 11th round. When Devin Haney, on the other hand, made the fight look easy against Linares, he completely dominated him. It wasn't a competitive fight at all, outside of him getting caught with that right hand in the 10th or 9th round. Now listen, there's a very, very good chance that Lomachenko, you know, he's taking this fight against Devin Haney next. I mean, it's the only fight that makes sense for Lomachenko. It would be extremely difficult for Lomachenko to turn down the opportunity to fight for all of the belts when he has been constantly telling everyone his dream is to become undisputed. But I do pay attention to little small details when I hear people do interviews. And I remember Lomachenko leading up to this fight. Loma, he kept talking about how he wanted to fight for undisputed. He wanted to fight the winner of Haney and Kambosos. But I noticed in one interview, he said, I want to fight for undisputed. He said, whenever the fight happens. And my question is, why would you be saying whenever the fight happens when we already know that Devin Haney, he wants the fight to be next? When you say whenever it happens, it sounds like you're saying, it might not happen next, but whenever we decide to take the fight, I'll be ready. That's kind of how it comes off. Paulie Malignaggi also comes to mind when you hear Bob Arum saying that it's Lomachenko that might not be ready. Because it was Paulie that just recently came out and said that Devin Haney, he ain't going to fight that white boy, meaning Lomachenko. So while Paulie was implying that Devin Haney was going to avoid Lomachenko, Lomachenko's own promoter, Bob Arum, is saying Lomachenko may not even be ready to take on a challenge like that against the undisputed champion, Devin Haney. Something else you'll notice is Paulie Malignaggi. 3 years ago, that clip that I played for you guys at the beginning of this video, where the mandatory, Lomachenko's mandatory at the time, Devin Haney, was calling him out, and Lomachenko decided to vacate the belt. Paulie Malignaggi, he had never said, Lomachenko, he ain't going to fight Devin Haney. Why he ain't fighting Devin Haney? He needs to fight him. That's his mandatory. He never said that. Instead, when Lomachenko vacated his belt, you know what Paulie said? He said, come on, man. Everyone knows that Lomachenko would have beat Devin Haney. That's what he said. Now, once again, I got to reiterate. This is when Lomachenko decided to surrender his belt to Devin Haney and not fight him. Let me say this as well. You can't even use the excuse. If that was the excuse that Lomachenko felt he wasn't ready, he can't really use that excuse because just like Lomachenko, Usyk, he also just came back from Ukraine, fighting in his war. And the first fight he took was a rematch against Anthony Joshua. He didn't even need a tune-up bout. So it wouldn't make sense for Lomachenko to need 2 tune-up bouts before he fights Devin Haney. But listen, the good news is we know that Devin Haney wants this fight. And Devin Haney and his father, according to Bob Arum, are most likely going to show up to attend the Lomachenko versus Ortiz fight live, which puts even more pressure on Lomachenko to take the fight. But I'll close out with saying this. Just think about how crazy this is. So Vasyl Lomachenko is 34 years old. Devin Haney is 23. And we are hearing Bob Arum imply that the experienced older fighter might not be ready for the 23-year-old. But of course, when it came to Canelo Alvarez being the 23-year-old against a 36-year-old Floyd Mayweather, they all made excuses for Canelo, losing to a much older, much smaller Floyd Mayweather. We know what time it is. Not to mention, Lomachenko also lost to the 23-year-old Teofimo Lopez. The point is, once again, if old media is saying that you're pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world, there's no way you can't be ready for anybody. You should be ready for all of the smoke. If old media truly believes you're one of the best fighters in the world, what does that really say about Devin Haney and Lomachenko when no one is saying that Devin Haney might not be ready? That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.